Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you all are keeping fine and safe. And not only that, you all are eagerly waiting as to when the job notifications will be out and you all can fill up the form and get into your dream job. Yes, today I am here giving you the job notifications, the important dates and the eligibility criteria, everything we are going to talk about in this video. But in this video, I'm going to give you the information about CTET. Now, in accordance with the provision of the subsection 1 of section 23 of the RTE Act, the National Council for Teacher Education, which is the NCTE, with notification dated 23rd August 2010 and 29th July 2011, had laid down the minimum qualifications for a person to be eligible for the appointment as a teacher for class 1 to 8. It had been inter alia provided that one of the essential qualifications for a person to be eligible for the appointment as a teacher in any of the schools referred in the clause N of section 2 of the RTE Act, as I just mentioned, is that he or she should pass the teacher eligibility test, that is the TET, which I'm going to talk here right now, which will be conducted by the appropriate government in accordance with the guidelines framed by the NCTE, right? So accordingly, this CTET notification is out. The Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, who has trusted the responsibility of conducting the CTET, that is Central Teacher Eligibility Test, to the Central Board of Secondary Education, Delhi, okay, which is the CBSE, Delhi. Now, if I talk about the applicability, who are applicable, this where the CTET is applicable, the CTET shall apply to schools of the central government, that is the KVS, NVS, Central Tibetan schools, etc., and schools under the administrative control of the UTs of Chandigarh, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and Lakshadweep and NCT of Delhi. CTET may also apply to the unaided private schools who may exercise the option of considering the CTET qualification if you have passed so. Schools owned and managed by the state government or local bodies and aided schools shall consider this TET conducted by the state government. However, a state government can also consider the CTET if it decides not to conduct the state test, that is the teacher eligibility test. According to CBSE affiliation bylaw 53, prescribing the minimum qualifications for teachers to teach various subjects in class 1 to 8 in the schools affiliated to CBSE stands amended to that extent, and it shall be mandatory that the teachers appointed herein or hereafter, that is 6th March 2012, to classes 1 to class 8 in the schools affiliated to the CBSE shall qualify or pass the Central Teacher Eligibility Test, that is the CTET, conducted by CBSE on behalf of the central government, or Teacher Eligibility Test, TET, conducted by the appropriate state government in accordance with the guidelines that are laid or framed according to the NCTE for this purpose. Now I will come to the CTET eligibility. Who all are eligible for this CTET? Age limit. The applicant must be a citizen of India, definitely, if you want to be eligible for CTET 2021. There is no age restriction. However, the candidate must be minimum 17 years of age. Nationality. The aspirant, as I told you, should be the Indian citizen. Educational qualification required for this is candidates who are willing to apply for CTET have to fulfill different eligibility conditions to be a primary or elementary teacher. CTET eligibility 2021 requirements are stated below, as I am just going to say you for both the papers, that is paper 1 and paper 2. CTET eligibility 2021 for paper 1. candidates must have passed senior secondary or equivalent examination with at least 50% marks. Also, he or she must have passed or appearing in the final year of the 2-year diploma in the elementary education, or applicants must have passed the senior secondary or equivalent with at least 45% marks. He or she must have passed or appearing in the final year of the 2-year diploma in elementary education in accordance with the NCTE recognition norms and procedures separately mentioned according to the rules of 2002. Or aspirants who are willing to apply must have passed senior secondary or equivalent examination with at least 50% marks. They must also pass or appear in the final year of the 4-year Bachelor of Elementary Education, that is the BL-Ed. Or candidates must have passed senior secondary or equivalent examination with at least 50% marks. Along with it, they must have a pass certificate of a 2-year diploma in education, that is the special education. With this, there is another option, that is a graduation degree might be required in the relevant discipline which you have acquired, and it is actually a must to be acquired. A certificate of a 2-year diploma in elementary education by whatever name known. CTET eligibility, now talking about that for paper 2. You have to be a graduate holding a degree in the relevant discipline, and it must be obtained. Also, the candidate must have passed or appearing in the final year of the 2-year diploma in elementary education by whatever name it is known. Or a bachelor's degree is required with at least 50% marks must be obtained. Aspirants who are willing to apply for this must have completed 1-year Bachelor in Education, that is the B.Ed, or graduation with at least 45% marks must be done in relevant discipline. He or she must also complete a year in the Bachelor in Education, that is the B.Ed, in accordance with the NCTE guidelines, recognition norms and procedures. Regulations issued from time to time in this regarding this CTET according to the notifications that will be given. Or candidates must pass senior secondary or equivalent examination with at least 50% marks. Also, they must have either passed or appearing in the final year of a 4-year Bachelor in Elementary Education, that is the BL-Ed. Or candidates must have passed the senior secondary examination or any other equivalent examination with at least 50% marks. Along with it, they must have passed or should be appearing in the final year of a 4-year BA or BSc or BSc ED or BA ED or BSc ED. Or the aspirants must have done graduation with at least 50% marks. Also, they should have passed or appearing in the 1-year B.Ed with special education. 2 year is definitely considered, but 1 year with special education will also be considered. Now, the qualifying marks and award of CTET certificate, the candidates appearing in the CTET will be issued mark statement. The candidates securing 60% and above marks will be issued the eligibility certificate. School management, local government bodies, government aided and unaided may consider giving concession to a person or persons belonging to the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, OBC, differently abled persons, etc. in accordance with their extent reservation policy. Qualifying the CTET would not confer a right on any person for recruitment or employment as It is only one of the eligibility criteria for the appointment and does not mean direct appointment. Now talking about the validity period of CTET certificate. The validity period of CTET qualifying certificate, if you have obtained so for appointment, will be 7 years from the date of declaration of its result for all categories without any particular ones. The Ministry of Education on 3rd June 2021 has announced that government has decided to extend the validity period of Teachers Eligibility Test qualifying certificate from 7 years to lifetime with retrospective effect from 2011. So that's a good news. The respective state governments and UTs will take necessary action to revalidate or issue fresh TET certificates to those candidates whose period of 7 years had already elapsed. There is no restriction on the number of attempts a person can take for acquiring the CTET examination or CTET certification. A person who has qualified CTET may also appear again for improving his or her score. CTET notification 2021, no clear date has been issued still for the Central Teacher Eligibility Test yet, but as per the information, online applications may start very soon. The name of the board by which this examination is being conducted is, as I already mentioned previously in the video, that is Central Board of Secondary Education. Every year, many candidates apply for this exam and pass the examination by getting very good marks. You can only apply for this test online, and that too by visiting the official website of the board, that is the CBSE board. The CTET examination is conducted at the national level, and this examination is conducted twice in a year. Teachers are selected and recruited for class 1 and up till class 8 for students through CTET examination. Also, I want to tell you that this examination will be conducted in both languages, that is Hindi and English language, for which a total 150 minutes will be given. Now, talking about the CTET 2021 application fees. Yes, some fees have also been fixed for this examination, but only after submitting your application you will be submitting the fees. The application fee has been fixed separately for different categories accordingly, which I am going to say you right now. For general, it is 1000 rupees. For OBC, also 1000 rupees. For scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, it is 500 rupees. Now talking of how to apply online for the CTET examination 2021. To apply for CTET, first of all, you have to visit the official website. After that, on the home page, you have to click on the application option. After you have done that, you will have to fill in all the details that is asked in the application form. After filling in all the details, click on the option given there, that is submit. Save and download the application form. Not only that, you can also keep a printout of it for future reference. So CTET notification is not out yet. I will always notify whenever there is any new news about CTET or the examination form is out. You will be updated through this class, through this video, and definitely I will say you don't waste your time, start preparing for it, because once the notification will be out, there will be no time for preparation. So everything will be in a hurry. So without wasting time, I will ask you all, start preparing. There are 2 papers, that is paper 1 and paper 2. Decide for which papers you want to give, or if you want to give for both the papers, then I will say you all the best. Keep just have a shining career, because CTET is a very wanted examination that teachers are usually looking forward for. So definitely it's a very good examination, and if you are wanting to see yourself somewhere teaching in a school, or you want kids to be all around you, you being the teacher, then definitely this is a very good exam which is held at the national level. So I wish you all the best for your career ahead. Just stay tuned, and let's hope the CTET form fill-up will also be out soon. So all the best till then, and stay prepared. Thank you.